is a Bramble Jam podcast.
Felt longer.
It felt like we really were bopping there for a bit.
Wait, just so many sometimes beverages. Why? I was going to ask you before we started, but I'll do it now. What is that? It is so yellow. It is.
I know.
I don't think. Is that a Stanley?
Did
or
you?
Is that an off-brand?
It's not.
Okay.
It's an off-brand. Michael's just got a bunch in, and I got it for $2, and it seemed like a good deal.
Yeah,
Did you,
well,
but
Stanley
you
Cups
was
were like $1,000, and all the kids, all the like sophomores that I teach, every sophomore girl comes into first period with a giant Stanley Cup. Inevitably, it's knocked over. And
yeah, no, I don't like that aspect of it because I prefer a water bottle that seals.
Yes.
The Stanley I have seals. It's a screw boy.
Well, I mean, like that has a
screw
straw,
boy.
So like if it tips over,
Yeah, you're right.
there's a
Yeah,
straw. Of course.
But did you pick? Was that the only color available?
No, it was a bunch of spring colors. There was like blue, green, pink.
So all together, they look really fun. This looks like a giant banana, like on its own.
He's giving you a hard time for the color of cup you chose.
Yeah, it was sunshiny.
It
and
is.
made me think of summer. And
I just hadn't seen it yet. And so when you see it for the first time, it's a giant banana.
It's like the most muted.
It looks like a part of like an Easter collection.
Yeah, I didn't know the backstory.
Yeah.
I didn't know the backstory.
Well, we received to our studio over the last few weeks several weird Amazon packages.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One of them was a Stanley crossbody.
What's that?
So it's a thing that like it's almost like a wrap that goes around the Stanley. It
Oh,
has
my
a
God.
shoulder
My
thing.
name's Stanley
And then it has
Crossbody.
pockets.
Stanley crossbody.
And I was like, oh, well, I don't have a Stanley, so I don't know what to do here. But then I have a part-time job at Michael's, and they got Stanleys in, and with my discount, it was $2
$2
for fake Stanleys.
for fake Stanleys.
And,
Stanleys.
I used the crossbody this past weekend with my friends, and it was great.
So it's to like make it to where you can lug your
It's
Stanley
a bag
around without it
to
being
lug
Yeah.
your giant cup around.
So there was a pocket for my phone, a pocket for my keys.
Pocket
I
full
don't
of
know what
sunshine?
Stanley did to get it's not a functional, efficient cup
I will
for most
send you
people.
a video. I've seen a video on like
Because
the
Stanley used to be
rise of
like
Stanley.
for working,
Yes.
and they
Yes,
made this
they
cup
remarketed.
and it bombed, and then
they
now it's popular.
remarketed to like women, and here we are. It's not.
I'm not telling you what kind of cup. Like
It's
a Stanley works for me because I'm going to drink 40 ounces of liquid like that. But
Yeah.
like, it's a disaster in high school classrooms.
It's
I'm just
not
telling
great
you.
for like. Well, it's not just high school. I mean,
I know.
elementary and everyone
Oh
has
my
that.
gosh.
It's not great for classes because it's going to knock over. It's loud. It's going to spill.
It's so top heavy.
It's the number one water bottle in all my yoga classes.
Is TikTok to blame?
It probably doesn't help.
Because
Yeah.
I know
But,
there
like-
was like a rise in like, what kind of water are you drinking? And people are like doctoring up their waters and their thing.
Yeah.
Water talk. Hashtag water talk. TOK.
Hashtag water talk.
Yeah.
And I
that is
think
a thing.
Stanleys are a big element of the water talk.
So yeah, they switched their marketing and but it's an insane thing. I don't hot take here. Don't think a Stanley is a good water bottle
It's
option.
not an effective water bottle.
If I had to pay more than $2, I would not own one.
Dude, I can't tell you how many times I was the assistant coach for the girls basketball team. I can't tell you how many times I'm sitting on the bench and all of a sudden
And they just knock
my feet are in standing water.
Yeah.
And it's because somebody's top heavy Stanley has fallen and the water's slowly leaking out of the straw. It's like
Yeah.
you can use that if you're on a work site or you have a cup holder to just bring it into your school desk or to sit in a folding chair with a Stanley is stupid.
well, the good news is if you just leave water on the basketball court, it's
totally fine. Nothing
It
bad
actually
happens.
is good.
It's
for
good
the
for
court.
it.
That's
It's good
actually I
for
love
it.
it.
Yes.
Thank you so much, everybody who's leaving reviews. We are on our way to
Thanks
100.
for tuning into Stanley
That's right.
Talk.
We're on our way to
We
100.
got 63 before Stanley Talk, so it's going to go
63.
through the roof.
Let
now.
us know
Yeah.
this week if you have a hot take on Stanley's. Leave
gonna
that in
get-
the
we're gonna
review.
get one-star
That'd be
reviews
wonderful.
for my
Shout
hot
out
take.
talking
to
about cups.
shout out to Janice J Nice. I don't know, Janice 5.
I doubt-
5-star.
I don't think it's Janice.
Janice. Janice email us. Let us know if it's Janice.
What's that email?
Do we have an email?
No.
Okay. Email us.
Hello at
Do you
DecktheHallmark.com.
contact us on the website?
You can
send us
do
a
that,
contact.
I think you can.
So it's DCOMpodcast.com.
I had
DCOMpodcast.com, which it
not-
says in the singer every time.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I had not seen any DCOMs growing up, and now I have seen 11. They're bad. Awful, actually. And I love watching and love this podcast. How about that? People are listening to us, watching DCOMs for the first time. We're bringing a country together.
We are.
In an election year where the country seems more divided than ever.
Oh, my gosh.
This country needs DCOM descendants more than ever. More than ever before.
Country.
We're superheroes. We're first responders.
There's a lot there, I think, that we could unpack.
It got away
Email
from me.
Bran at
It
DecktheHallmark.
got away from me.
We are podcast first responders, and I would stand by that. We could make those shirts, and I would stand like it's like the veterinarian vet. It is like that. We're vets, but not in
I'm
the
a vet.
way, not that kind of vet.
Yeah,
Don't
like
call it that.
if I was at a conference with all first responders,
I
when
wouldn't
they
be
asked
like
us,
I'm a first responder.
yeah, I wouldn't. I don't know why I would be
in
there.
this
but-
safe space behind the microphone in our studio,
Yeah.
you are saying you're a first responder.
Yes.
Do you think that works for like discounts? It's a car. The car places are like, you can get $500 off as a first responder discount. You want to go try it? We can film you.
During COVID, when
for
everyone
the
was
vlog?
when everyone was banging on their pots and pans, I
wasn't-
waved. It was for. I was like, hey, I do podcasts. We brought people joy during the pandemic.
We were.
So think about that.
You brought
We
me
did.
joy?
We went to work. You and I went to work in our studio pretty much every day. We were a quarantine.
We were a team.
And our families.
We bubbled.
Quarantine.
We bubbled
I was
hard.
a beloved listener at that point,
That's
and
right.
it did bring me a lot of joy.
Yeah, we were first responders.
I was also a guest on a little program
sure
called
were?
History or His Story.
It's true. Yeah.
That brought me a lot of joy.
There you go. See,
They were like, "Why are you available in the middle of the day to be on this episode?" And I said, "Pandemic."
pandemic.
Pandemic, don't ask. Speaking of things that bring us joy, it's time for the delicious. Yes, delish.
The delicious is
What
a weird
is
thing
it?
to say.
What is it? Is it delish? The delish
remember.
part of the
It's
show.
the delicious segment.
Delicious is on our handy dandy whiteboard.
Today's movie is The Color of Friendship.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see what racist snack you brought for us today. Erin, what did you bring that people can maybe enjoy at home while they're watching The Color of Friendship? Oh, this is beautiful.
Yeah. I don't know if you can.
Yeah.
Let me bring it up. Oh.
So
It's a homemade black and white cookie.
it's a homemade black and white cookie. So something simple. I mean, I'll post the recipe. You literally just had it in your hand.
I know.
Okay.
What happened here? Was this me?
No, it was. I had a saran wrap around the top to keep it fresh.
Yeah.
So it just.
What does
Now-
this have to do with the movie, though?
And the movie was about black and white coming together.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, look at it.
Interesting.
This is a perfect
I
example
don't
of just
know.
look at it.
I didn't know what to make for this, and then the idea popped into my head while I was watching it.
I was
like-
kidding with the
I was
question
like,
about
black
the
and
black and
white
white
cookie.
cookie. You guys know that, right?
We could have had a nice
Okay.
like.
I don't know. We learned during the movie that you're a little bit racist.
Really? That's what we learned in this movie.
You asked if they were brothers.
I did not.
I'm gonna take a
I
quick
did
bite of
not
this.
ask that.
How do you guys usually
You
do this? Do you
asked
eat
that.
right down the middle so you get both?
The first bite, I would.
Let's go down the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Both and.
Yeah. No, it popped into my head, and then I couldn't get out of it because I really enjoy a black and white cookie. And they were really easy to make, but they're also fairly popular at like grocery stores or bakeries. The Publix here carries them. So if you don't feel like making
Cookie's
them,
so
you can just
soft.
swing by a store.
I ate one beforehand.
It's delicious.
So good.
Yeah.
So good.
It's delicious. It's delicious.
We did
It
it.
is the delicious
Which
in
is
the
the
delicious
whole-
segment.
I made something that Dan likes.
I love that.
That's right. You did it. It doesn't happen often.
We cured racism.
We did it. With the black and white cookie. That's bold. It's a bold.
Well, Disney thought they cured racism in 2000. So
This did more than that. I'll say that much. Yes.
Let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll talk about the
And then we'll
color
talk
of
about the
friendship.
curing of racism.
And we'll see how it kind of goes, I guess. I don't know how it's going to go, this one. We'll find out.
Yep.
It will be fun? Let's find out. We'll be back here on DCOM Descendants. Cookie's really good. Welcome back. I made a mistake.
What?
I took another bite.
You did. At least we're not chewing in the mics this week. You know what I mean? Those are our 1-star reviews. We got 2. We would be like at 4.9 without chewing licorice in the mic, which was totally a brand thing and not me or Erin.
Yeah, it was definitely not
Definitely brand.
either of us.
That's right.
We're talking about Color of Friendship, originally aired on the Disney Channel February 5th, 2000, in the year 2000. Directed
during Black History Month. Bold.
Directed by Kevin Hooks.
Kevin Hooks.
Kevin Hooks.
Rufio. That's what I think of every time I think of Hook.
And he is a black director, so that's nice. A nice fact about this movie. Starring Carl Lumbly, Penny Johnson, Lindsay Hahn, Shadia Simmons. Lindsay Hahn, is it? You mentioned that Lindsay Hahn was like something else on Disney Channel?
She was something else. Yes.
What was she?
She was a movie surfer, and so I don't 100% remember the parameters of it. What I would say it was like an MTV VJ where they kind of like interviewed other Disney stars, introduced movies. They had little like, before a new movie would start, like at 8 p.m. they would have this little like movie surfer segment, and then the movie would start at 8:05.
Yeah. Movie Surfers is a Disney Channel miniseries that appears in commercial-like form where teenagers go behind the scenes of upcoming Disney Channel movies. So it would air when a new Disney movie came out. That's exactly
there you have it.
And there was a whole slew of them, a whole slew of those surfers. How about that? Good for them. So many. So she was just one, but now she gets her big chance.
And she's not from South Africa, and her South African accent, excellent in this movie.
That's right. The movie starts in Washington, D.C. We see the congressman. He's coming home and immediately knows that something is up. His family is acting very strange, really going hard, trying to get on Dad's good side. And
They're all ready and seated at the table.
It's crazy to even think. It's crazy to even think about
a family
like
sitting down.
Sometimes I'll go get pizza for my family, and in my head, I'm just thinking like I want to eat this pizza so bad, but I know when I get in the house, I've got to herd everybody to the table before I can eat this pizza. I can't even imagine walking in the house with pizza and my kids just sitting at the table waiting to eat pizza.
Well, when they get older and they want something from you.
That's right. You never know.
Then they can accomplish that. It would be unbelievable.
You should show them just the first part of this movie.
That's it. Nothing else.
Hey, when you really want something, just go sit at the table.
Or if you only show them the first part, you don't even have to tell them that. Be like, see this family that's just sitting, waiting for Dad to come home?
That's how I want to be greeted. When I walk into the door, I want there to be applause. While you sit at the table waiting for me to eat dinner. His daughter Piper has had a bit of an interest in learning about other cultures and other people and whatnot, and is now begging her parents to let her host an African exchange student.
Right. Yes. Also wants to learn more about her, like some of her own culture.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Dad's not super on board with this, but after some pushing, some nudging, he finally, reluctantly agrees.
He's a busy man, doesn't quite want another person. Like, he has 3 kids already.
He's also working on a big speech.
Big speech.
Yeah. He's trying to push an agenda of some sort.
Yeah. Well, he is trying to work with the South African embassy to.
We don't find that out yet.
Yeah.
But yes.
But he's big on. Well, he does mention in the opening he's big on like apartheid, and
he's big on it.
They're planning the Pan African Festival in a few weeks.
Yes.
Months. I don't know how long, but they're working on a festival. So then he's busy. He doesn't have time for
of course.
a 4th child.
It's very much like, hey, I'm not going to be a part of this. But if you want her to come, they could go.
He tells the mom like we can have an exchange student, but it's your responsibility.
It's yours.
I am too busy.
We had by the 1970s we had cured racism here in America, but not the patriarchy. I think is what we're saying. Patriarchy alive and well. But we clearly, this movie is going to tell you anyway that we had cured the old racism bug.
Right. Speaking of South Africa, we now go there and we meet another family. We meet a teenage girl whose name is...
Yeah, her name
is...
Maori.
Mari. Just Mari.
Mari. With an
You're
H.
the father. Mari is...
this might be the one we can't air.
Lives in South Africa.
We're first responders. I don't know how many times I need to tell you that. Sorry, go ahead.
She's white and has a big old house. Her dad is
lots and lots of room in there.
Lots and lots of room. Yard's freaking massive.
Football.
How much food on the table?
Good bit.
Because it's a big table,
It's
or
a
just
big-
they piled it on.
Oh,
one
dude,
small
this table, I would classify it as big.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is something.
A big table with lots and lots of food.
Yeah. It's her father's house. And they're there, and
It's as seamless as that's ever gone.
she wants to be one of these exchange students. She hears about this opportunity to go to America.
Go to America. She's going to get extra credit.
Yes, extra credit. That detail is unknown to me. Like, how much extra credit?
Yeah. I mean, it would be, I don't know. I just feel like in high school, extra credit doesn't really mean anything unless you're failing.
Right.
It would be cool if she was going to get like college credit.
Right.
That would be useful.
It's weird. It's weird.
But
Yeah. Extra credit for that is absurd.
Yes. Now, we see a few things going on here. One, it becomes pretty clear early on that her dad is on the bad team, we would say.
South African police officer.
Yes.
And is like
enforcing the greater merits of apartheid,
Yes.
where the Bantu people have been all relegated to secondary separated status. Yes.
Right. And we see they're out to dinner, and we see this guy who drops food on somebody, and he like kicks that guy down, and she just like watches it like it's just another day here in South
Another day at
Africa.
the office. That's right.
But her family finally agrees, okay, you can go. They're making bets. Like, I bet you come back in a week. You're not going to make it. You're going to miss us so much. Big fun. Ha ha.
I mean, but good on the family for being willing to spend so much money to send her there.
For a
Thinking
week.
she's only gonna
It's a
last
week.
Yeah.
It's
It's
a
a
week. A week prank them up.
We
Yeah.
a week crank them up.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's worth it. It's worth the plane ticket to America.
She'll go. She'll realize she hates it. She'll come home. We'll
be-
never
it'll
have
be
to
a
talk
fun,
about this
fun
again.
time.
Yeah, it'll
Yeah.
be fun.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
No more talk of going to America.
Do you have a plane ticket prank 'em up money, or is that a different status? Is that a different status than where
Dan
we're
definitely does. As long as he's not buying smartwatches for
Yeah.
children,
Yeah.
he's got prank 'em up money.
Yeah, plane
You
ticket
know
prank
me,
'em up.
independently wealthy.
That's right.
That's
I've
what they
always said
say
that
about
you.
me.
They
Super
do.
rich.
Dan is really good at making bets with unsuspecting people.
That's true.
And that's how he rates
With people that
everybody.
don't know what double or nothing means. That's exactly right. Yes.
Really quickly, if I may. There's
Brandon
been
know what double or nothing
there's
meant. We
been
can move on.
There's been a situation a few years ago. Dan and I made a bet
On the Orlando Magic.
on the Orlando Magic
Safest bet in the history of betting.
for a hat. I lost that.
At Lids, I can choose any hat I want.
Yes. I lost that bet.
He never
So
paid
the
it.
original bet was whoever won got to pick a hat, and the
And the
loser
other
bought
had to
it.
pay for it. Correct.
So there was one hat at play.
That's right. He never
Aaron,
paid
don't
it.
mansplain this
He-
to me.
yeah.
I don't need it.
I'm not to you. It's to
He-
our viewers who are like, "What are we talking
He
about?"
never paid the bet. 3, 4, I think that was 2019.
Dan never got his hat from Lids.
He never paid it. And so this year.
We didn't find ourselves at the mall very
No.
often.
Oh, yeah, spin move. Bran
We've
then.
been at the mall in the
so
last
many
year.
times. Bran at this point, this
there
year
room
is
in the
very
schedule today?
confident.
Should we go?
Very confident in the Magic, and he wants to bet. He said, "Let's do the same bet again, double or nothing." Now, that in common parlance, I am going to mansplain this. That in common parlance to anyone with half a brain cell means
that's
you owe one. If you lose again, it's double or it's nothing. Those are the two options. Double or nothing. You went from -1 hat to 0 hat.
My understanding here was whoever wins gets 2 now. Because it's the winner.
Why would I ever bet that?
The winner gets double. Loser
gets
nothing.
But doesn't the loser always get nothing in every bet?
Yeah. I thought it was a double. And I could even see the argument for because you're up 1, double that over to my side. Now I get 1. Because you have to
I can't wait for the Magic to go on a winning streak and Dan owe 2 hats.
Yeah.
it's going to be great.
I would never make that bet in a million years.
Imagine my surprise when I find out that no matter what happens
You don't
here
get
in the
a
next
hat.
week, I don't get a hat.
Literally, we're going to figure it out this week. There's no world where you get a hat. None. Unless you go buy one yourself. You don't get a hat. That's not how a double or nothing works. You either owe me 2 hats, which we will pay off next week. Literally. The minute we know if they're not 6th, we're going to Lids. And I'm going to pick out 2 hats. Or there's 0 hats. Those are the only 2 options.
So just like ask clarifying questions when making bets. I think that's all. Yes. That's the lesson here. Yeah. Is don't assume.
It's been a hot topic in the office today.
Two doesn't always mean two. For some people, when they say double hat, they mean only for them, the person. It doesn't mean
out.
It doesn't
as a
mean
selfish wordsmith.
It doesn't. Yeah,
like you somehow manipulated you.
You pulled the wool over my eye.
Yeah. Got it.
Both of them, in fact, both of them.
The other eye was already plenty woolly.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, double or nothing. So she lands in America, and everybody is surprised here. The
family's like
the American family, the Dellums, are like, this is a white girl.
You white,
and
she's like, you black.
She's like, are you just taking me to the family? Like she's very much like,
here's my baggage ticket.
You can
do this whole thing. She assumes that they are just trying to
a family of butlers.
Yes, a family of butlers. So everybody here is confused, and that goes on for a little bit. A lot of like, who are you? What? This funny? There is a very funny scene when she arrives at the house and the other kids and like neighbor or whatever are putting together this welcome ceremony, and everything is very like classically African.
Yes.
Like tribal drums, all of this stuff.
Yep, they're dressed up in tribal gear.
And she walks in and they're like,
where is she?
Where is she? Which is very funny.
Who brought the white girl?
Yes, it's a very, very funny bit. And so,
which then she realizes
she realizes
that it's a black family, and she storms up the staircase in a house that she does not know, has never been to hide somewhere in a room that she doesn't know anything about. That's exactly right. Yes.
And this goes on for some time. The family, Piper ends up bringing up some fries, a shake. Classic American meal, and it breaks into it because it's her room. She knows how. She's been locked out enough times to know how to break back in. Yes. We've all been there. And they talk a little bit, and it's not going great. They clearly still butting heads, still some disappointment. Later on, though, Maury overhears this conversation of the disappointment of the family of Piper, and she comes out and she says,
well, she calls her family.
Yes.
And she's about to say she wants to come home.
Yeah,
right.
They all
and then her dad's like,
her dad's
you want to come home?
I knew you were going to come home.
Crank him up.
And so this 12-year-old girl, are we saying 12? This 14-year-old girl who has been trained her whole life to think that people of color are less than, and is terrified at the idea that she's living in a house with a family of color, puts all the years of indoctrination and systemic hatred aside and goes, I'm going to show my dad.
That's right.
I'm going to show him what's up.
I think I would too. At least, I mean, I don't know if I would commit to a full 4 months, but
this is a commitment to a bit that is not possible in my estimation.
Now, I will say
I would double down.
The one thing that she has
on most things, go ahead.
The one thing that I think would maybe make it to where she would stay is she would consider her maid back home her friend. She says this, her best friend.
Correct.
And so I think she does. Is having to grapple with this whole like, hey, I have a best friend who's black, but also is only here because she works.
The best thing this movie does is it does, weirdly enough, answer years in advance, like gives a retort to people who think, I have a friend of color, I have a gay friend, I have a black friend. That means I'm cool with different types of people. This movie does offer a firm rebuke to that, which is great. And they do it later in the movie.
Right.
But she clearly has been indoctrinated into a system of racism. Like she is very much blacks are less than.
Yeah.
She believes that.
But
in her
I do
core
think
as being
that
true.
thinking that she's her friend maybe would make her go, okay, I got a friend back home. Right. I can do this here. I'll show Dad.
Yeah.
I think that might have something to do with it.
It's the best we can give you.
It's the best we can give you. Anyway, she's staying. She's staying, y'all.
Yep, she'd like to stay.
And, there's a lot of cultural misunderstandings and stuff that she says stuff and Piper's like, What you mean by that? There is a scene where a couple of hard R N-words are thrown out there.
They are. That's right.
And didn't see it coming, but it happens because
when the movie aired on the Disney Channel, they never said that. It was bleeped out.
Which is a bold, because where else is it go? Like, where else is this for? It's not like
I don't know.
It's not like a theatrical movie that makes it to TNT and they make some changes.
No,
this is a movie created for.
Never a theatrical release, by the way.
Should have been.
Okay,
it's a masterpiece.
You say so.
Yeah, watching it on Disney Plus shocked me because I've seen this movie many times since 2000. And as a kid, just knew there was a bad word you could not say to black people, but did not know what it was because it was bleeped out.
I can't believe they bleeped out the person of color saying it. That was what movie do you think you're showing, Disney? Like in
Disney
2000,
Plus, there they are.
I wonder if
put this movie on the air for children and then not have the person of African descent that's of color say why not?
My guess would be, I don't know if you watched it when it initially premiered.
Oh, for sure.
You did.
Okay.
Premiere night.
10 years old.
I would think.
Or caught a rerun short.
My only guess would be the initial premiere, they didn't bleep it and they got a bunch of complaints. That would be my, hey,
let's see if we can find out.
Because you could see people being like, I get what you're doing here. But Disney Channel?
Yeah.
So I could see it being a bit like for us, we didn't see it coming.
No.
So I imagine back in 2000, people, I'm going to turn on Disney Channel. It's going to be fun times. We're so used to the fun times. This movie comes on with the hard R's.
I think that's my thing is that, and it's supposed to take place in the 1970s.
Right.
You've already done the work of deciding you're making this movie.
Right.
You've already done the hard work of going, I know we just came off of a superhero movie and a mummy movie and a whatever else, can of worms. Now we're going to plunge you into the depths of apartheid through the lens of a true story in America. But we can't, the bridge too far is a black person saying the N-word.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
Disney, you've already done it. You've decided this is a good idea. And I'm not saying it's a bad idea. You decided it's a good idea. It's weird. It was a weird
The fact that it would be taken out of the TV version would make me think that is not how they originally
had some pushback.
Intended.
Had some
for that
pushback.
because it made the cut clearly.
The cut, yeah.
And so and it made through all the script checks, and people had to sign off on this, and then eventually at some point they said maybe not, maybe not. So they, those type of conversations, things where Maori is in the back seat and sees this guy come up and cleaning windows, and they talk about, hey, so you're just able to do whatever you don't have to have papers or anything like that. She's learning that black people have rights here in America, in this country, in the middle of the 70s where everything is perfect. It's never been
great.
Yeah, and
peace,
so
love, and happiness for all. Of course.
But it's not all serious. We get some fun times. They go to the mall. They go shopping. They're, at school. They're friends. We get a nice montage of them just being friends and doing stuff. And it's good. It's sweet. They're friends. It's the color of friendship.
It's the color of friendship. They start having a bond.
They have a bond. That's exactly
right. It's good. Things are going in the right direction.
Now, back in South Africa, things obviously are continuing to happen.
Yeah.
And there has been an arrest of, does anyone remember the name?
Stephen Biko.
Who is somebody who's obviously fighting for.
He's a revolutionary.
Yes.
He's speaking out against apartheid.
And he's arrested. And we find that out, and we find out that there's some stuff going on, but Maori's having fun.
We also find out that Piper's dad is pushing for this apartheid change, and no one really in the United States cares too very much. He's speaking, and people just leave the press conference. They don't care. So we do get
almost like our education system didn't teach us about apartheid.
They do. What? My evangelical Christian education certainly didn't. But I mean, I thought the public education may have. Yes, so we get that.
In Florida.
I mean, I think we spent maybe a day on it.
Yeah. No, I was in college. I got a history degree, and I was studying history in college when I heard apartheid for the first time.
Yeah, I was thinking about this after we watched the movie because I did see this movie as a 10-year-old. So I knew the word apartheid and basically knew from this movie that it was a
bad.
system. Yeah. That I knew it wasn't quite the slavery we had here, but it was not a good system.
Yep.
But I don't know if I ever actually learned about it in school or if I just carried with me until college the Color of Friendships lessons on apartheid.
I mean, we educate ourselves through many different measures, and one of them was a DCOM.
That's right.
Amen.
Learned more than you.
Yep, true.
So
yeah.
they did their job.
Until college, anyway. Yes. In college, I finally had somebody be like, hey, this is real.
So it comes out that this guy has died in
Biko.
yeah.
And there's
thought that there is some foul play there that he.
Well,
did
the South African embassy is like, well, he killed himself.
Yes, he killed
But
himself.
we know that
He was on a
didn't happen.
hunger strike. He killed himself.
So this is causing protests to begin happening, not just in South Africa, but around
In
the world,
America.
including in America.
Yeah.
And that is why the South African embassy comes and says, hey, you have to come with us to Maori. And Maori. And she's not happy about it. She's like, these are my friends.
Yes.
These are my friends.
I don't want to go.
I don't want to go. But they're
Correct.
like, you're coming with us.
Yeah, you're a minor. You don't get to make that decision.
And this is when this movie is at its best. And it is when she is at the embassy and Piper starts to grapple with what it means to be friends with Mari.
Right.
Because what it means to be friends with Mari is Mari's dad is a South African police officer. Right. It's basically like being friends with a Nazi is what it's like. And so she has to grapple with the very real world understanding of what it means to be friends with someone who's inherently racist.
Right.
How like Mari can come to America and visit Piper, but
That's right.
Piper can't visit Mari.
And her parents are propagating that system. This is I know what you tune in for here on DCOMs. This is the good stuff, as people call it. Yes. So that's all happening.
Yes.
So by the time that Piper's dad goes and gets Mari released from the embassy to come back home, Mari is the same. Piper is a different person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mari is thrilled to be out of the embassy. She was like, it was a prison.
Yes.
Piper is grappling with all of these like
Big time thoughts.
And Piper also knows the truth about Biko. Right. Whereas Mari's like, who cares? He was a troublemaker and he killed himself. Like, let's.
It's not important to me.
I'm
so
back.
It doesn't matter.
Let's party.
Correct.
And Piper's like, what is wrong with you? Like, this is a real issue. Like, anyone with like half a brain knows that this is an issue.
Yes.
Right. And so Piper obviously has to have a conversation like with her dad about this, and dad explains, obviously, listen, America's got it together.
Yeah, we cured it.
Yeah.
It's the 1970s, for God's sake.
Right.
Well, they have a
we stomped
fight.
this thing out.
Piper's dad talks to Mari.
That's what it is. Yes.
Yeah. The girls have a fight because Piper is like, your dad basically killed Biko. He's a police officer. The police officers killed Biko.
He's
she's
a pig.
She's like, my dad would never.
Yeah, but
she's like,
he would.
So she runs out.
Piper runs out.
Congressman goes after her.
Congressman goes to talk
has
to
a conversation, explains, listen, America rules.
America we cured.
Yeah, we had to grapple with some issues.
America!
And we're here now. We haven't broached that topic of language on our podcast yet. We could go there.
When the calendar turned to 1970, racism in all its forms in America, systemic and otherwise, was cured.
That's right.
According to this movie, we read Roots and we said, gotta stop
and then,
that.
Like, they made a TV series, Roots, with LeVar Burton, and it was like, could we get any more equal? I mean, man.
Yeah. So that, I mean, watching it as a kid, I was like, yeah, sure. And then watching it now, I'm like,
I'm sure you got a lot to unpack in the overtime segment. I mean, I'm sure you have so much to unpack. Yes.
So he's explaining that
my whole childhood.
while America is where it is now, it hasn't always been this way. Yeah. And that is what the people in South Africa are fighting for. They're fighting to have the same type of freedoms.
And she can go back to South Africa and also fight.
Yes. And then she says, let me tell you about what my black friend told me. And shares this story about the bird that has the nest and the birds of all different colors.
Piper also questions Mari on that being her actual friend. That's a maid. If you weren't paying her and she didn't work for you, you wouldn't be friends.
Right.
And that's a world rocker for Mari, which is really good. And then she tells him about the Weaver bird.
The Weaver bird.
Stopped paying Flora, she would leave.
Correct.
Yes. Yeah. But hey, here's a fun thing about the Weaver bird, and it's great. And
birds of different colors live and work together.
yeah. And so now the friends have reconciled, and it's wonderful. And then
They like cured racism, and then racism hit a little
then
bump.
they go
the
to
congressman has a
again.
speech.
At the Pan-African Festival.
Yes, and Maori is there,
Maori.
and thank you, and standing behind them like, hey, I'm standing with these with everybody here.
Their friend Danny, who is from Nigeria, is handing out the South African freedom flags.
Yeah.
which are banned in South Africa at the time.
And he gives one. He has been kind of on the fence about Mari because he's like, there's no way. He's from Africa. He's like, there's no way a white South African.
It's okay.
I'm just very,
No, it gets choked up.
No, it's a serious
there's
movie.
no way a white South African could understand these issues,
Right.
but he has seen a change in Mari, and so he gives her his flag, and Mari is very touched and holds on to it.
And the
goes
congressman
home.
during the speech also says, "Hey,
Weaver
I have a new friend. Told me the story about the Weaver bird.
Let me tell you about the
He
Weaver
quotes
bird.
FDR, a classically not racist president. And then she goes back to South Africa, gives a big hug to the maid, shows her the flag.
She
and
is sewn because the flag is banned, and if you
Right.
have it, you get in trouble. Definitely not beaten by the police, but and so Mari has sewn the flag into the lining of her vest.
That's right.
And she shows Flora, and Flora's like, "Yes, I wanted you to go to America to learn some things, and you did
You
it."
have learned some things.
Yes.
Let's see if we learned some things. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about The Color of Friendship here on DCOM Descendants.
DCOM Descendants. DCOM Descendants, a Bramble Jam podcast.
Nope, not yet. We're back.
I'm sorry.
We're back. We still have
Early.
overtime and making the list.
So early. It's on me.
It is time for the overtime part of the show, where we talk about how this movie aged over time. For those of us that have seen it, how did we like it
Had
back
you
then?
seen it before, Brand?
I have seen it.
Okay.
At least once.
All
Not as many.
Fascinated.
I have also seen it.
Fascinated by the
once.
VHS. Well, Joe Shea recorded it for you on
so
VHS.
I could watch.
So you could watch it
Disney
all the
did
time.
not air it enough
Yeah.
for my liking, and so my dad recorded it onto a VHS tape so I could
That's right.
watch it all the time, and I did.
So this is going to be fun.
I wonder if I still have that VHS. I don't think I do.
I would.
Some letterbox reviews. Tyrese says better than Green Book. Thomas says, here's a reminder that there's a DCOM where they say the N-word. Gentleman says, imagine my shock when these two little girls say the N-word with a hard R in my Disney Channel original movie. Nolio says, woke Disney? ? Sean says, they freed the effing bird. Yes. Live your life without a cage, my little homie. And those are your letterbox reviews.
Man, better than Green Book got me. That's fantastic.
Better than Green Book.
And not wrong, weirdly enough.
There was another one that said better than Green Book and The Help. So
Yeah, we're getting someplace now.
someplace. Let's see how we feel about it. Erin, you're the whitest among us. You go first.
You're white Irish Boston.
Yeah,
we are. Yeah, we're white.
We've
We're
got
classically Caucasian.
Yes.
You are extra.
You're another level.
Extra something.
You're another
white.
level. So we will let you go first and
Super duper white.
tell everybody your thoughts on The Color of Friendship.
I love this movie. I love this movie as a kid. I still love this movie now. It definitely, I had way more thoughts about it as an adult. Like, I understood the severity of it as a kid, but watching it now, I understand apartheid more, and the whole system in South Africa. As a kid, I did buy into the propaganda that Disney was selling that we in America had fixed things.
We knocked it out.
And so that aspect, which I never really thought about as a kid, made me sad as an adult watching it, because I was like, we didn't fix it then, and we definitely have not fixed it now. And so just watching this movie that is 24 years old and realizing that we haven't made as much progress as I would have liked on any front, got some sad feels. But yeah, I still think that this movie was important for kids. It is where I learned about apartheid, and it's probably, as a kid, the most educational thing I received on racism. So yeah, I stand by this movie. I loved it. it's going to be one of my favorites.
So let's get this out of the way. Walt Disney, you suck.
Walt Disney sucks.
Let's just put it out there.
So much.
Read a Wikipedia. He sucks. So like the fact that they're making this movie in 2000 is like, all right, good for you. Maybe you should have made it, 10 years ago, something like that. But they did it. And it's good overall. Obviously, would I have rather them have handled America better and more honestly? Yeah, of course. But that was never going to happen. And so for what this is, it's really good. Now, as a kid, this movie comes on and I'm like, can we just freaking watch Brink or something that's like
Mummies?
Are the serious DCOMs, and there's other ones that we'll get to, are they my favorite? No, they're not. Like, I would rather do the fun things with the rollerblading and the hijinks. But for what this is, it is pretty darn well done. And I thought the two teenagers that are in this movie crushed it. I thought both of them were really good. Surrounded by some surrounded by some more questionable actors. I think the two leads are fantastic and had great chemistry together. And so overall, quite good. And but would I watch it again?
Yes.
I don't think I'm going out of my way to watch it again, but I do appreciate what they were going for, and I thought overall they did a pretty good job.
Yeah. I mean, looking through her filmography, I don't understand why Lindsay Hahn was so iconic to my childhood.
She didn't do much.
She was really good, though.
She was really good.
But she, was probably one of the first, Disney Channel stars. I, remember her name to this day, Lindsay Hahn. And, probably before Hilary Duff was on Lizzie McGuire, I've seen other movies that Lindsay was in. For a while,
I guess the biggest thing she's done since this is True Blood, I guess.
I'm sure she was a small part in True Blood if she was in True Blood.
I can't remember let's see if I can find the name of the movie.
She was good.
It was a recurring role for Hadley Hale.
Okay.
In True Blood.
Great.
I don't know anything about True Blood, but that's what her Wikipedia says, that it's, a thing.
She was in a movie, a TV movie where Virginia Madsen played her mom. And then a year later, Hilary Duff made the same exact movie. And I stand by Lindsay Hahn's being a better version.
Wow. All right.
Wow. Dano.
Yeah, this movie is impossible. It is so hard because I did not. This was my first viewing of this movie, and it as an adult who wants to be better and wants to own the fact that our country very much has miles to go and the systems baked in are racist and need to be, torn down to the rubble and rebuilt brick by brick. And the onus of that is on me as a white person. This movie made me viscerally angry. Having said that, the movie has to be acknowledged in its time and place. Martin Scorsese made some movies in the 70s that would get him canceled today. But in the 70s, they were thought of as kind of weirdly progressive. So, in the 80s and 90s and early in the 2000s, we had a big push of colorblindness for racism, which is if we just see everybody equal, if you see no color, then you're treating everyone equal. That was a push. I remember growing up, that was how I was taught to be not racist, was
to not see color.
Don't see color. And now we know what we should have known then. It was a power move to keep white people in charge, because if you look at a paradigm of inequality and you present with it neutral, it remains unequal. If you look at a paradigm of inequality, of equality and bring neutral, it remains equal. So if
that was my understanding of Double or Nothing, though. That was how I understood it.
Yeah, and that's fair. That's fair. I can see how I got there. So if we bring neutrality, colorblindness to something that is unequal, we are part of keeping it unequal. And this movie very much proselytizes that. Having said that, if I had watched it when I was 15, it would have been more of an education on the topic than I got when I was 15. I would have been challenged and maybe changed as a 15-year-old more than I was in my white evangelical Christian school, not hearing about it. So I have to give it props for that. Would I show this to my children now?
No.
Not on your life. Would my kids be anywhere near this movie now? For a number of
Except
reasons.
for the first 5 minutes where they're all sitting at the
That's
table.
right. There
I
are
do want
lessons
that.
to be learned here.
I want that.
Listen, don't throw the baby out
yes.
with the bathwater.
But I don't want.
That's the saying, right?
Yeah,
It is a
sure.
saying.
Yeah,
It shouldn't be.
gonna
We
think-
shouldn't throw any
Yes.
babies out.
No babies should be thrown. None. But I wouldn't show my kids this movie. I want them to know that systemic racism is alive and well. I also want them to know that it is not on the onus of people of color to explain that and fix that for white people. And I do believe that this movie does those things. But I do believe at the time, this is a black director and he's working with Disney Notes and he's probably doing the best he can with what he's given. And so I hated it in 2024. I would never let my kids anywhere near it. I think it sends a bad message. But in 2000, for teenagers,
Also a black screenwriter, by the way.
yeah. So, but
what it's
and true
Yeah.
story. But in the year 2000, with teenagers who were like me, it could have really probably helped back then. So impossibly confusing, not really fair for me to rank it. But there you have it. I got to rank it too.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
there's that.
I think it would have been nice to see Disney continue in this vein and use its platform.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice knowing the education I have had and the self-learning that I've gone on. It's nice to see how far I've come in watching this movie now and being like, oh, there's a lot of propaganda towards the white people here. And that's not how America
Well,
is.
and then also-
like seeing, yeah, just like because literally when I watched as a kid, I was like, yeah, we definitely have it figured out. And now I'm like, we definitely do not. And we still do not.
Keep in mind, this is also Disney in the year 2000 explaining it through the 1970s. So not only are they saying we figured out in the 1970s, we're even better.
We're even better now.
Now.
Yeah.
And
so
I will
that
say,
is the thing that's like you're really layering in this American nationalism in there that is baked into this pretty good.
and the first time I studied abroad, and the people in that country, I remember having so many conversations with them, and they were asking me like how our country did it, how did we solve racism, and I was like, I don't understand. We have not, and this was in 2011. So they're like, well, your president is black, so you've done it.
Yeah.
And then that was one of the first times where I really had to like try to put it into words, where I was like, we have not though. And so really trying to, and then, yeah. So the image, so Disney's image was working. The rest of the world did think we had it figured out. But we don't. And we're still trying.
The goal is to make it fail forward to it's not always going to be in a straight line, but hopefully
Listen,
you get better.
they remade Under Wraps a couple years ago. Let's remake Color of Friendship, and let's do it right.
I love it.
Let's tell the actual story.
Tell the story.
Well, the
I love
actual
that.
story is Mari went back to South Africa and became an activist.
And they don't even say
Yeah,
that at the end of
that's
this
so-
movie. Like, I
and
think
I-
that's a
and was-
really like
and-
powerful part of it,
Yeah.
and
and
they
was
don't do anything
killed
with it.
shortly after
Yeah.
for activism. So
R.I.P. Obviously, like that. Yes, absolutely.
Her name wasn't
by
Mari,
somebody who most definitely, at the very least, knew her dad, right? Like,
not quite her. Yeah.
not her dad.
Yeah.
So I need to do more
but
research
somebody
into
very
the real
much
story.
like
Dad killed her.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think since the 70s, there have been a lot of other stories that Disney could tell. I mean, Dan hasn't quite seen this yet. There will be in the next few movies or next couple years on Disney. They do tell real stories. There is going to be a movie about the start of the WNBA.
Oh, wow.
So like they do go through this push where they do highlight real stories,
okay?
and I would like
Disney's been woke for a long time.
I don't know if woke is the word that I would
No.
use to describe those movies, but they do highlight like real children and like the accomplishments
Dude,
they made. But then they move away from it, and their movies a few years later just dive right back into hijinks. And I think Disney is still a good, like a major platform for children. And I would like to see them go back into this vein where like we're highlighting stories that children need to see, but do it in the right way.
It's so much easier to just give kids the thing that doesn't challenge. It's so much because then you know that parents get questions, and parents don't want questions.
Parents should answer questions. It's literally your job as a parent.
That's exactly right. But parents don't want to do it. They want to push them off or tell them Santa Claus exists or whatever. You know, they want to push the questions off to make a world that's safer for their kids.
When I was reading, I was trying to do some research to find out if when it originally aired, they used the N-word or not. Couldn't really find anything. Everyone seemed shocked in watching it on Disney Plus that it had the N-word, which leads me to believe it never aired with the language. But one parent on Reddit was complaining that I've seen this as a kid, thought it was safe to show my children. I've tried really hard to keep them away from the N-word because I never want them to use it. And I was really disappointed that it was in here. And then the comments were nice. The comments were like, well, isn't this the context that you want them to hear it, where it's being used in a culturally appropriate way, and you have the opportunity to talk to your kids about it? And
this
so
is
on
like
your point,
in Family Matters, when they spray paint that word across Laura Winslow's locker.
Right.
That's a great opportunity to intercede with your kids and be like, hey, let's talk about this. That is much better than not just
I use Family Matters as a
because your
teaching.
kids are going to hear.
Of course you do.
Every night.
Your kids are going to hear this in music or other kids at school. They're going to learn about these issues, and I don't know. Wouldn't you as a parent want to be a part of that conversation?
And now we're just in a full message podcast, but that's not your fault. I started this. It's the pervasive thought of most white, especially white evangelicals is, look, be nice to people, but we're not going to deal. We just don't want it. Don't tell me about your identity. Don't tell me about how you're different. I don't want my kid. Let's just not deal with it. I think that is a pervasive message. That is why you have to show me that on TV is a pervasive thing that's happening right now. And that's unfortunate.
Because TV likes to show everybody. And everybody exists in the real world, and you can't just ignore people walking down the street. So you shouldn't be able to ignore them on TV either.
Fair.
Let's get to our list. It's time for making the list. This is where we talk about where are we putting this movie in our list.
Oh boy.
We are now dropping 4 movies. Gonzo. You might never hear from these movies ever again. Starting at number 10. Erin, do you have it? Are you ready? Or do you need more time?
No, I have it. There's been another change up in the
list.
list.
Thank God. If we continue to have this horse sense propaganda.
Oh, it moved back up. Sorry. Did some thinking.
Go ahead.
Did some thinking
and
praying.
Erin's not real list.
Yeah. We make jokes on the podcast all the time. I might lose my job over this list, and that's fine. Okay. Stick to your guns.
Stick to your guns.
Stand up for what you believe in. Horse sense, number 1. I'm just kidding. It's not.
Fired.
Brink is also not number 1. All right, number 10, Don't Look Under the Bed. 9, Genius. 8, Brink. 7, Horse Sense. 6, Up and Away. 5, Xenon. 4, Halloween Town. 3, Smart House. 2, Johnny Tsunami.
Whoa!
1, Color of Friendship.
Whoa!
Well, Horse Sense went down to 7. It was in your top 5 last week. So
I had moved it below Brink.
Oh, I thought
I switched it
you
with
did
Brink
top 5 for it. So you
it was when it first the first week, yes.
And then you went to 6 with it, and now it's because we added a movie, it's at 7. I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that makes me feel better. Color Friendship 1. This is nostalgia, right? This is and I might have mentioned this. I was talking about it with somebody. When it comes to movies, I do prefer a serious topic over all the hijinks. I'm not super here for let's play pranks and just try to gross out our audience. I know. Sorry, guys. So
freaking weird.
How did you get hired here? Prank TV.
Prank TV.
I love a smart prank. There are times when it's...
Hey, Erin, look under your chair. You won't believe what's under there.
Got him.
One time I left the office and came back, and the guys thought it would be a really funny prank to move my chair. And that's just not a good prank.
I wasn't in on that.
You weren't.
That is dumb.
You weren't.
I'm also for a smart prank.
And they had hidden cameras around the office, and I just came in, saw my chair wasn't there, grabbed another chair, kept working.
I do not endorse.
I can't believe Brian did that. That's so messed up, man.
But yeah, so for a while, Color of Friendship, it's not going to stay number 1. But Color of Friendship is a movie I would rather watch.
I feel like you're doing this just out of loyalty to your childhood is what you're doing this out of.
I mean, I really thought about it. It was number 2 for a while after I watched it. But if my choices were to watch Johnny Tsunami or Color of Friendship more often, I would watch Color of Friendship.
It's crazy, man.
That is.
I think you're doing this to make us look bad.
Yeah.
I think this is what you're doing. We know what you're doing.
No, I'm fine with it. I can't believe it. I can't believe this movie. This movie doesn't belong anywhere near one on anyone's list in 2024. But
do you want me to go?
If you're doing it for your 10-year-old self, then God bless you.
You want me to go?
Go for it, Brandon.
10, 13th year. 9, Up and Away. 8, Color of Friendship. 7, Xenon. 6, Genius. 5, Don't Look Under the Bed. 4, Halloween Town. 3, Johnny Tsunami. 2, Smart House. And number 1, we're going soul skating, baby. It's Brink.
Also, travesty. Number 10, Can of Worms. Number 9, Color of Friendship. Number 8, Smart House. Number 7, Up and Away. Number 6, Don't Look Under the Bed. Number 5, Xenon. Number 4, Brink. 3, Genius. 2, Halloween Town. 1, Johnny Tsunami.
Wow.
There you have it.
3 very different lists.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I will say, like what you said in the overtime, if I had seen this movie for the first time,
listen,
in 2024, it would be very down on my list.
You don't have to defend yourself because you it was your favorite movie growing up. So it doesn't.
But it is a movie that was a jump start for me into learning about real issues.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
So
it's a seminal moment in your life. There's nothing wrong with that. And to be fair, I put it in my top 10. I put it at 9. And I think there are 5 movies I had worse than that. It's impossible to rank, though. It really is. Because of the movies I would show my children, I would rather them watch Can of Worms. But of the movies that have, like, quality in them, like, and I can see at the time being impactful, it's probably, like, 5 or 6. So I don't know. I don't know what to do.
It's up there for now, but we are gonna, as I was saying, we are gonna dive into a period of time on Disney where they highlight stories. And so when we begin to see Color of Friendship against those, I think it's going to affect how I view Color of Friendship, and Color of Friendship will knock down. But right now I'm comparing Color of Friendship to Can of Worms, and that's where I'm at.
I had it above Can of Worms.
We did it, everybody. Congratulations. Next week, we'll be back with Alley Cat Strike, another very serious movie.
Yeah, very serious.
Not serious, but also one they never played a lot.
Yeah, they sure didn't.
And I have thought about that final shot every time I go bowling.
Let's see if there's a reason why they didn't play it very often. We'll talk about it next week.
Oh, no.
Until then,
DCOM
it up.
DCOM Descendants is a Bramble Jam podcast. It's produced by Brandon Gray. You can find out more information on DCOM Descendants by going to DCOMpodcast.com. You can find us on the socials at DCOM Descendants. For more information on how to watch these movies, you can go to BrambleJamPlus.com.